Wading the Willamette is a weird level. It's the first level that I've ever gotten included into the game, but when it was first added, it wasn't actually at its full potential. There was this weird bug where if a train stopped at the same station twice, not just in a row, just in general, it would not actually stop for the appropriate amount of time. It would stop for the minimum amount of time and then immediately leave the station upon its second arrival. For most levels, the effects of this bug were completely negligible. Either trains would pass through stations that they were visiting a second time, thus ignoring the stop completely and just exiting the map, or they were commuter trains that were already making such short stop times that you couldn't tell the difference. At least, not at a glance, you couldn't. This map, however, has one train in particular that visits the same station twice in a row and specifically needs the second stop to wait for a set amount of time. That train is EM27 and that station is Union Station. Some of you may be wondering, why does this matter so much? Well, this map is based on a real location. It's loosely based upon Portland, Oregon, on the outskirts of downtown by the Steel Bridge. In general, this basis is extremely faithful to the trackage, not really that faithful to the freight services. I don't know what ways those go, but it's pretty faithful to the way the actual passenger trains operate in the region. For the most part, this isn't too impressive. Most trains just go from Salem to Vancouver and vice versa. The Cascade services are sort of like local commuter services between Seattle and Eugene, and the Coast Starlight is a long-distance train going all the way south through California. However, one train in particular, the Empire Builder, this is its terminus station. It's a long-distance train that in Spokane, Washington splits into two services westward, one going to Seattle and one going to Portland. As a long-distance train, there's no real need for a cab on both ends, as the cab wouldn't really be utilized until the very end of the journey, at which point you could probably just reverse the train anyways. So, here in Portland, Oregon, the Empire Builder uses the Y on the other side of the river. I've actually seen part of this move in action before. Here's a picture of the train on the leg of the Y closest to Albina Yard back in 2019, shortly after my father and I disembarked from the train at Union Station. Sadly, because of the old bug, this maneuver could not be enforced. Instead of trying to come up with a crazy workaround, I instead just forfeited and decided to make it so the train had cabs on both ends and would stop at Union Station for a much longer time only once rather than stopping twice. However, by January of 2022, the bug had been fixed. At the time, I was modifying some levels by removing signal stopping penalties from them, and I decided to take a small detour and update Wading the Willamette while I was at it. This, well, it significantly increased the difficulty. The level was initially only moderate, but with this new crazy maneuver, it was really more challenging. I think, at this rate, for that single maneuver alone, this level is one of the hardest in the game. It's nowhere near the hardest level in the game, as South Honk is truly ridiculous, but it takes a decent second place. Another interesting location worth noting is Pacific Avenue, which isn't actually a real location, at least not Pacific Avenue. The location is the Oregon Pacific Railroad Yard on the Southeast Water Avenue. This line, or at least this half of it, as there is a second separate section farther south, is roughly 5 miles long and most notable for the Oregon Rail Heritage Foundation. The foundation is home to a slew of locomotives, including 3 steam engines, the Oregon Railway and Navigation 197, Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700, and the Southern Pacific 4449 most notably. They run riverside excursions from time to time. It's pretty fun, and while not really showcased within this map, I thought I'd pay a little homage by representing the yard that's the interchange point for the short line they run upon. Another fact that makes this region interesting is that the short line crosses over the local light rail with a pair of 90-degree crossings. I wanted to one day make a map of this specific interaction, And I did start a prototype, but unfortunately I don't think I'm realistically going to be finishing it anytime soon. However, it's a fascinating enough work that I'd still like to shed some light upon it here. Well, that's all I have to say for this one. Next episode is going to be the last of the series, and we're going to be going out with a bang. See you in South Honk. Cheers, folks.